All right, welcome back, everyone. Now I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Noe Lorona to close us out. Thanks so much for being here today, Noe. Take it away.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you for having me here. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Noe Lorona, and today I am going to be talking to you about automating container image promotion across environments from source to production. I'm excited to dive into this because it's an area where automation really changes how we deliver value. So a little bit about me, of course, the mandatory Ghibli there. Uh, I've been in the military service for 15 years. Alongside that, I've spent about 5 years working with traditional on-prem technology. For the last 4 years, I have focused on modern software development. That means agile practices, DevOps, and lots of CI/CD. All of the methods that help us build and ship software more effectively. I did my doctoral dissertation on agile DevSecOps in the Department of Defense. That was a fascinating topic because the DoD has very high levels of regulation, which makes building business agility challenging. One of the key takeaways from my research, and one that applies here today, is that automation is key. Some of the tools that I enjoy working with include Kubernetes, Git, Terraform, Flux, Argo, and Backstage. Hopefully, there are some Backstage fans in the audience today. Okay, let's start with a little story. I call it emotional baggage. Not the kind of emotional baggage that you might be thinking of. This is about container baggage. Think of promoting container image like checking a bag into the airport. You drop off the bag, drop the bag off. That's putting an image into the development environment. Then it gets scanned. That's security validation. It's tagged and routed. Those are policy checks. And then finally, it gets loaded and shipped into its destination, production. Now it's on the plane. As a passenger, you don't want to think about every one of these steps. You just want to drop off your bag and trust that it's going to make it onto the plane. In the same way with containers, you should not have to think about all the complexity behind the scenes. Automation should be able to take care of that for you. Here on the left side, you'll see a product manager before automation, stressed out, crying because images are scattered everywhere and no one knows what's what. On the right side, after automation, you have a happy PM. Everything is organized, traceable, and they can focus on delivering value to users. So we'll get to the session intent and principles. First, to show you how we can automate secure, compliant image promotion from dev all the way to prod. Second, to ensure that trusted images are deployed with a low risk, full traceability, and compliance. And third, to highlight the key benefits you'll gain: automation, security, reliability, auditability. That's the roadmap. Now let's get to talk about the stages. You'll see this at the very end, and we'll walk through each one of these stages. So we'll start with image sourcing. The first rule is to pull images from pre-approved providers. That could be Docker Hub or Chainguard, or whatever the vendors your organization trusts. In your dev environment, you should set up a CI/CD stage dedicated to image pull automation. The key action here is to pull digest rather than tags. Digest, ensure that you're getting the exact image you expect, not a moving target like tags. Once you pull the image, validate it with a tool like cosign that ensures the image hasn't been tampered with and that it matches what the vendor provided. Then store it in your container registry, whether that's GitLab Container Registry, Harbor, AWS ECR, GCR, or another. The benefit here is trusted provenance. You know exactly where your images are coming from, and you know that you can trust them. Tools in this step include GitLab CI/CD, Docker Pool, Crane, and Cosign. Next, let's do some vulnerability scanning, which we all love, right? Now that we have sourced and stored the image, the next step is to scan for vulnerabilities. Even if you trust the vendor, as one of my leaders always said, trust but verify. In your dev environment, set up a CI/CD stage for automated security scanning. You can use tools like Trivy. You can also generate SBOMs using Cyclone DX. Some vendors provide SBOMs directly. If that's the case, you can pull it from them, store these SBOMs in Record or another artifact repository. The benefits here are automated vulnerability detection and audit-ready SBOMs. And right now, SBOMs are an auditor's favorite artifact, so having those prepared will make life a lot easier. Next step, policy validation. Here, you enforce policies of your images before we move forward. Tools like Kyverno or OPA Gatekeeper are designed for this. You might, for example, enforce a rule that no image with critical CVEs can pass through, or you might enforce signing requirements. When you're starting out, I recommend running these policies in warning mode. That way, you see the violations, but you don't block the entire pipeline. Nobody wants a blocked pipeline. Once your team adjusts and triages issues, you can move to full enforcement. The benefit here is that policies are applied consistently and automatically. You don't have to rely on humans to catch these things. The system enforces them for you. Another fun step here. This step is optional, but I highly recommend it, a CAB approval or a CCB approval. This is where a change approval board or a change control board or even a lightweight review stage comes into play. It gives humans the chance to review risk assessments before promoting an image further. You can submit scan reports, or you should submit scan reports, and SBOMs. It depends on your organizational policies, how they want to run it. This also helps keep your IT inventory accurate. So team, security, and your CTO knows exactly what's deployed and where. The benefit is streamlined, low-risk changes, strong governance, and records of what's being approved. You can use tools like Jira, GitLab, issues that can help this step. If you set up your policies for your CAB approval to be minor changes are automatic approvals and maybe major changes are need to run through the CAB, then your organization can set those up as they need. And that way you can speed up or slow down introduction of assets to the system. Okay, let's get to the fun part, staging. The staging environment is where all the magic happens. This is your production-like environment. And the closer to parity to production, the more confidence you'll have when it's time to deploy for real. We all like confidence in deployments, right? We don't want to hear it should work. We want to hear it will work because we have good parity. In staging, you will test the image in an environment that mirrors prod. You will run acceptance testing. Sometimes that's as simple as a PM clicking through the website to ensure functionality hasn't broken, or checking if your internal tools are still functional. You can also go into your Kubernetes and monitor the logs to catch any sort of errors. And I highly recommend this one. I think a lot of people talk about it, but never really execute it, which is using things like chaos mesh to stress test and validate assumptions. Test whether a change might be a breaking change, and just really, push those boundaries of those images to ensure that they're reliable. You can also continue to enforce security here. Tools like Falco can monitor runtime behavior, and you can keep policies enforced with Kyverno or OPA. Unlike Dev, staging is a good place to enable blocking rules so that the issues get caught here rather than in prod. The benefits are automated runtime validation, an opportunity for rollback, because if you're going to roll back, this will probably be a good way to do it, and the ability to identify threats before production. So now that we've tested it, we've spoken with all of the individuals from the CAB, they're feeling comfortable with the image, we staged it, we've revalidated it, we have a high level of confidence that our image should not introduce any breaking changes. So next, let's do the production promotion. This is the final destination for your container image. This is where the container makes it onto the plane. Here you promote only verified images. You might use something like canary rollouts with Flagger to reduce some risks. Make sure to log every change. Use Record or similar tools so you have a record of what happened to your production environment. If your staging and production environments are deployed using the same infrastructure as code configuration, promotion should be seamless. It should be a copy and paste. It should be a quick YAML change and push to prod. That way you don't end up in the situation where something works in staging but fails in prod. Nobody wants to hear, it worked on my machine. Use GitOps tools like Flux, Argo, Helm, or Customize for continuous reconciliation. If someone tries to do what I call a sneak attack on a manual change, then GitOps will reset it and it'll bring it back to where it's supposed to be, depending on what time frame you have set up on that. You can do it every minute, every 20 minutes, and it'll just keep reconciling. The benefit here is that you get automated, immutable deployments with minimal risks. Okay, so now we have rollback and auditing. What happens if things, oh, I'm sorry, no, top part of that. Once you have the image in production, the work isn't over. Now we need to have continuous compliance and monitoring. You will continuously scan for new CVEs, monitor any configuration drift, and track performance changes. For example, if an image size changes, it might impact the runtime. Tools like Trivia Operator, Flux, Argo CD, or Grafana can even help to monitor system performance. The benefit here is that you have ongoing security posture, maintenance, and actionable alerts. The key is to cycle fixes back through dev and staging before patching directly into production. We don't just want to fix it in prod. We want to go ahead and fix it where it came from so that we can create a nice, repeatable, continuous pattern. Back to slide 12. I doubled up the slides, my bad. So rollback and auditing, what happens if things go wrong? This is where the rollback comes in. Rollbacks can be automated or manual. Sometimes it's as simple as say git revert, right? Just undo that git commit, or tools like Valera can help you back up your system, but really, hopefully you don't have to do a whole system restore. Make sure that your version control images at each stage. A good practice is to maintain separate registries for isolated tags per environment. So if you go back to, once we get to the end, you'll see that each environment has its own container registry. And you can tag images for each registry, such as Java with the tag of dev, Java with the tag of staging, and in Java with the tag of prod. That way you always know which image belongs to where. And if a rollback does happen, please document it, log the reason why, do a post-mortem, and share the learning. Don't just fix it silently. Otherwise, knowledge stays locked up in your own head. And then if it happens again, you'll just end up repeating the same cycle. Okay, so for closing comments, let me say a few things. Use vetted images from approved vendors or preferred vendors. Do scans and SBOMs to de-risk your deployments. Simplify the CAB approvals so that they don't are seen as blockers. You shouldn't see a manual process as a blocker or something that slows you down, but really as like a force multiplier, something that really increases the quality and your confidence in the deployments. Have SBOMs and attestation ready so audits are not painful. And I always say ClickOps is not repeatable or auditable. GitOps is a way better choice. So when you put it all together, promoting a container image becomes just like checking your bag at the airport. You hand it off, you trust the process, and know that it will get to your destination safely. That is all. Thank you for your time. And here's my LinkedIn link tree, and I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you so much. No, I love your travel analogy. It's so relatable. And I have to admit that CI/CD is my favorite technical topic. So I love CI/CD talks. You packed quite a lot in the session, and I'm going to go over and see if we've got some questions. But because this platform is really strict on time, just want to thank you and tell everyone once this session ends to head on over to check out the agenda tab. We've got some closing remarks we'd like to give you at 30 past the hour. So we have a couple of minutes for questions. If someone doesn't have 3 separate environments like testing, staging, and production, do they have an opportunity to implement a promotion process, and like what would be the benefits of that?
Yeah, Mandy, that's a good question. You don't need 3. 3 is just kind of a cool number. When you make Kubernetes clusters, we tend to do them in 3, for certain reasons. But you can have 5, you can have 2, you can just have different VMs that are running some compute on each one, different nodes. The most important thing is to ensure that you are being very deliberate about how you're moving images across the environment and not just dumping them all into one location and hoping that everything works out good. Really trying to create parity so that it's repeatable, and every time you go through the ladders or through the steps up, when you get to the very last one, you're sure that it works and you've done your due diligence. It's really about building confidence in the process.
Yeah, so you could implement this even if you only had two environments, and creating this process really gives you the ability to create additional environments in the future more easily because you can validate them easily.
Mhm.
So, what would you say is the fastest way that you've seen this promotion process work?
If everything is automated, you can make all of the steps in the CI/CD pipeline auto approve, or just on, when one finishes, the other one starts. You can get this rolled out in less than 30 minutes.
Wow,
Okay.
that's very impressive. And are all of the tools open source? Help us understand how much this implementation might cost in, say, dollar amounts.
Most of the tools that I introduced here were open source. I'm a big fan of open source. I love it. I think there's something very, very American about open source. It's free. Uh, you can implement the premium versions of some tools to increase the quality of the tools, or maybe some additional features. But really, you can implement this whole CI/CD pipeline process with no cost to the tooling. The only major cost is going to be your compute power of where you're hosting your containers and your runtime environments. Those are going to be something like EC2 instances or some sort of virtual VMs. That's really going to be where your cost is, and the compute of the containers and registries, and the storage, of course. But the actual tools to get things across, most of them I really try to always go for open source. There's a lot of great projects out there that are very well supported that I follow all the time. And if you look at the CNCF landscape, it just keeps growing and changing. The only thing that I watch out for open source is that sometimes things just drop and they stop being supported, and you have to be able to shift and pivot. But as long as you understand why you're using the tool and not just focus on the tool itself, you say, well, this tool did this. Are we able to find another tool that's similar that can also do this? And then you can just kind of like put it in like a stack of Legos, change out the Legos. It might be a different color, but it's still going to hold up the tower.
That's a really great answer and another really great analogy. Don't just adopt open source tools blindly, but know what they're doing and know how to replace them. Let's see, we got a couple more minutes. Oh, we've got some coming in from the chat, quite a few. What do you human in the loop dev to staging? Okay, are there certain things that you keep a human in the loop for and don't completely automate promotion of?
Yeah, so the cab, right, the change control board,
That's right.
or the somebody in an earlier session called it the like the infrastructure change board, right? It really depends where you want to introduce it. If you think that if you want to get a check and balance and a go ahead from security or from whoever's running the board, you're going to want to push that left, right? Like just like how we're trying to get images that are very secure from good vendors, all the way from the left, you want to introduce those questions. Is this going to be okay for me to introduce earlier so that you can de-risk? The assumption is, hey, this tool might not be, or this image might not be approved at the moment. Let's ask those questions as early as possible. Nothing is stopping you also from introducing a change control board at every step if you really feel like bringing pain to yourself, but it really doesn't matter where you put it. You should have some sort of an approval, somebody going through and checking that. And there are some tools that you can automate it, and some change control boards do introduce minor and major upgrade changes. So if it's a minor upgrade, you could just automatically push. And if it's a major upgrade, then you might need to get an approval from somebody in the executive suite.
So you're saying rather than halting your automation for certain deliverables, just to have really good conversations up front before you even kick it off so that you can automate the whole process because everyone's agreed upon everything before the automation runs.
Yeah, or you could put it, before it gets pulled in, they say, hey, this image is good, and you just kick off the whole thing, and you trust that maybe it's a minor change, you should be good to go.
I love it. I really enjoyed your talk and really appreciate your time.